Hello there, welcome to another episode with me, NyawiraMwendwa. If you're new here, karibu sana. My channel is all about entrepreneurship, parenthood, and spiritual growth. If you are a returning subscriber, thank you. I appreciate your viewership. And if this is the kind of content that you appreciate, kindly give it a thumbs up and remember to subscribe. In today's episode, we want to discuss about father wounds, and with me I have Muthoni Ikana, who is a mental health advocate, and she's not new to us, she's been here before, so we want her to help us unravel this conversation of today. So without further ado, let's hop into the conversation. Welcome again. It's always good to have you, Muthoni.
Thank you.
So I have a question
Yes.
to throw in today.
Yes.
When you think about, even before we dive into a conversation about father wound,
Yes.
when you think about a father, what comes to mind?
We can say there is an ideal father figure we usually have in our minds for any child. Like a father who is warm, who is very supportive, a father who you can think of first when you're going through something. Like, I can call my dad today, I am stressed, let me pick up my phone and call him. That is the type of a father we have in our minds.
Yeah.
But on the ground, things are different because they are also humans. They are not the perfect ideal people we would have wanted them to be. Yeah, so we end up having father wounds because of how we feel our relationship was like with them.
Yeah. When I think about a father, what comes into mind is a protector.
Yes.
A person who speaks into my life,
Yes.
identity,
Yes.
who gives me identity,
Yes.
and security.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, so let's begin with, what is the definition of a father wound?
A father wound is the pain someone feels as a result of their father. And we are talking about the birth father. If you had a father that you imagined or you saw as very angry, not supportive, abusive, who was not interested in your life. So when we talk about father wounds, we are discussing the fathers who are never felt emotionally, yes.
Yeah, or even physically.
Yeah, even
your
physically,
presence,
yes. When you had a father who was unavailable, and this can be both physically and emotionally. Physically, we can say because there was a divorce and separation.
Yeah.
We can say he was in jail. We can say he died, or he just left. He didn't want to take up the role as a father. So that means he was unavailable physically and emotionally. Emotionally, he could have been unavailable emotionally, so you didn't bond at an emotional level, which I think most of us born during our time. We had a lot of things. If your father was abusive emotionally or physically or sexually, and when I mean physically, it's not about the discipline. If the beating was more than to quantify the beating and the mistake that was done. So if you are beaten more than the mistake warranted,
for no reason, or maybe you're being beaten because your brother did, so you didn't help the brother, so you also get the cane.
Exactly,
that makes sense.
So that could be part of physical abuse. We can also say if your father was into addictions, like drug addictions or simply alcohol, so he was never there for you emotionally. Yes, if he was very strict, very strict to a point that you saw like it was a policeman coming.
I know. Yeah, true.
Yeah, so if what we would say is if you didn't have a warm bond with your father emotionally as a child, I think you have a father wound.
Yeah.
Yes.
What are some of the signs that can just show or tell that we have a father wound?
Now, someone would have different signs showing that you have a father wound, and this could be because you didn't get validation from your father. So that means you have a low self-esteem. You could have gotten rejection from your father, so you feel like you're very small around people. So your image towards yourself and towards other people, it feels like you're so inferior. So I don't know if it's safe to say the inferiority complex. It can come because your father didn't really make you feel like you were needed. If you have issues with how you choose a partner, like you just want to choose partners who are very superficial, because your father was also superficial, because we tend to look for people who give us a reminder of how our childhood was like. If you keep choosing relationships that are very abusive, because your house, there was a lot of abuse from your father, either towards you or towards your mother, or towards even your other people in that house, that could also mean you have a father wound. It's a sign that you have a father wound. If you have marks on your body because you were beaten by your father, that's a sign, a physical sign. Yes. So there are many things that could have come because of a father wound.
The father wound.
Yes.
Then how again does it manifest in terms of, if I'm in a relationship or even in marriage? How does it manifest? Maybe we could give examples or scenarios just to try and understand that in the concept that we are in now.
Okay. For any relationship, whether it is just friendships or romantic relationships, we tend to look for what is familiar. So we go looking for people who remind us how our childhood was like, as I had mentioned before. So if you had an available father, you will be looking for a partner who is unavailable. And this can be very, very hard for you to just notice, because you will be telling yourself, my father was a drunkard. He used to come home late, he used to fight, he used to do all those things when he was drunk. So when I get married, I'll look for a man who doesn't drink.
Yes.
And you get married to a church boy. When you get married to a church boy, they get addicted to their work in the ministry. So you end up having the same feel of an available father or an available partner. So it brings you back home to the unavailable parent. Sorry. Yes. Another way that it can affect adult relationships and romantic relationships is choosing partners who remind you of your father. So if your father was abusive, you'll get into relationships that are very abusive. And it will feel home, because that is how it felt when you were a child. So if you're not being physically abused, you could be emotionally abused, you could be sexually abused, you could be financially abused, but there is abuse
in it
that feels home, just like as it felt in your home. If your father was very critical of you, like he never saw anything that was good in you, you will look for a partner who reminds you of that, who makes you go back home. So if you get a partner, you will feel home with a partner who criticizes you more than a partner who is not. So even when you get a partner who is very healthy, you will never feel home. So you see, like, there are people who are in relationships and they're like, this relationship is too cool, it's too silent. I want drama.
Yeah,
yes,
that's true.
So you end up going back to relationships that remind you of how it felt as a child. Yes. Another sign is where you keep seeking validation, and this is because your father did not validate. He didn't make you feel like you are doing anything good. So you'll be chasing that validation from people, whether it is in relationships or even in just friendships. So if you have a partner that is just a healthy partner or unhealthy partner, you'll be seeking validation from them. So I'll give an example. You go buy like a dining set for to be used in your house. But the moment you buy that, you're not buying because it is important. You're buying so that your husband can see.
Oh man, okay.
That you have bought a dinner set and he will appreciate. So you're actually looking for that validation. And we find people doing extra things for them to get validated. So like if in your family you have an issue, no, let's flip. If his family has an issue and it is in a position that you're not able to help, but you can do something about it, you will end up going an extra mile even when it is not comfortable for you, so that your family can validate you in that marriage. Yes. Another sign is fear of intimacy, and fear of intimacy is where we see people in relationships are afraid of getting too close. It's like saying, I want to marry you, but please don't be staying in my house. So I have missed you so much. Please don't hug me though.
Okay.
So they are afraid of anyone around them. Anything intimacy is scary for them. And this could have come because their father was very abusive physically. It could have been abusive sexually. So any opposite gender to her will really be a scare for her to get close. So physical intimacy or intimacy becomes an issue for that person in a relationship. So it will bring other issues later in the marriage, or even not later. Yes. So it will be an issue in the marriage.
Wow. I want us to talk a little bit about how we grew up with our fathers, because personally I was a daddy's girl. I think my siblings, most of them say that, because my sisters, well, there's a really big gap between me and my sisters, like a gap of I think 6 years. So they always tell me that I used to hang around my dad a lot, and sometimes they would call me a snitch. Like, because I would always tell my dad what's happening, what are they planning, you know. I was always giving him the info. So I just enjoyed staying with my dad, his company and all. And honestly, my dad was present physically and emotionally. I mean, he would talk about my performance, would discuss. He was really, he really affirmed me in terms of, you can improve, you can do better, Grace. There was so much positivity that he spoke to me. However, there was aspect, well, by then when I was growing up, my dad was not born again. He got born again when I went to campus. So those are so many years per se, you know, growing up with a dad who loved his bottle, you know. So there's a way we would do things. For example, now, because my mom was a stay-at-home mom, so she tells you to do something and you don't do, probably a chore. You didn't do the chore that she told you to do. Of course, you know, she's going to tell daddy in the evening. So we're all sitting in the sitting room, we're just having fun or watching any program. You could just hear the horn of his car. You scatter. You run to bed. You're like, Mom, it's a wrap. Bye. Good night. Nimelala, Mom. Tumelala. Because there was that fear. Like, you don't even want to imagine what your dad will do to you. When your mom reports that you didn't do 1, 2, 3, you know. So that fear, even when you didn't do anything wrong, you just get to hear the horn of the car. You're like, me, I'm gone. And probably even you haven't done anything. So that fear of this man, you know, the rage he would have when he's disciplining us. And I remember something happened when he was disciplining me one time. He gave me a mark on my face. So if you look here, I have a mark here. And this came recently when my boys asked me, Mommy, what happened here? Oh Lord, you do not want to imagine. You had to say the truth. I was disciplined because I didn't want to lie. I didn't want to tell them so many stories. I just told them it was an accident. Babu was disciplining me, and so what happened was, I had gone to play in the neighborhood, and we had been told countless times, do not go to neighbors' houses. Play within the compound, play outside, but do not go to people's houses. I went. I mean, we were children. We were in someone's compound doing something. So they came looking for me. They couldn't find me. So my mom is worried. Where is Grace? Hey, they're all looking for me. They can't see me. So my dad comes out from work. He finds Grace is missing. So it was in an estate setting. So they're knocking every gate. Is Grace here? Grace is not here. Guy, they look for me. Almost like an hour. And then I just appear. Like, I was just playing in someone's house doing nini. Hey. So we go to the house. My dad takes his belt. So when he's just caning me, that the knob of the pin of what is it called, the belt, it poked me. So So I started bleeding. All of a sudden, there's trouble. So they're not sure where I'm bleeding from. Is it my eye? Because I mean, it's next to my eye.
It's close to your eye.
So they're wondering, where is this blood coming from? So my mom, all of a sudden, he was daddy's team. Now he's on my side. What have you done to my baby? It was drama. So first aid and everything. Let me tell you, from that day, that was the last day.
Yes.
My dad ever killed me.
What?
Ever. He never touched me again. So like having that mark, I mean, it just having that conversation with my son, it took me back. Like, I mean, what mistake had I really done that
warranted that kind of a beating?
I was beaten. I don't know about your dad, but I tend to feel that generation, there was a way that they used to beat us. You're like, what is it? What did I do? Did I kill someone?
Right.
No. There was so much rage. Yes. I don't know if you experienced the same as when you're growing up.
I did. Actually, my father was a teacher. And somehow in villages, a teacher was seen like someone who is very powerful and who has a very high standard of life. And their children needed to show examples to the other people in the village. You better match Mwalimu's children. So we are 5 of us in the family.
Yeah.
And if there is one thing I remember, on closing day, after saying hi to him, the next thing you were supposed to hand your report form to him.
Oh, wow.
Before you even think of sitting down.
Yes.
You hand him the report form.
Oh, man.
He needs to see what you've been doing in school, whether you've been playing or you've been doing the work you're supposed to do. So either way, even growing up in such a house, you needed to perform.
You had no choice.
You had no choice. Wow. So when I think of my father as a child, I am really scared. Because he didn't beat us per se, but his authority and voice would scare us. Like there's a way he used to knock the door and you didn't need to be told it is him. He had a specific way of doing it. And even if we were in the middle of a conversation, you'd be like, no, we continue tomorrow. Off to bed. Yes, off to bed.
Yeah, what used to happen,
Now, this is a discussion we've had with so many people. And when I was doing the videos on TikTok on father wounds, I realized so many people have had similar experiences. We had an experience not so long ago when we did a group therapy. And in the group therapy, we were like 35 people. Okay. In the group, we had like 4 men and the others were ladies. Okay. And when I looked at the age, it's the same age group, like 4 years older or 4 years younger than me. Okay. Surprisingly, when people started giving experience, we were like, is your father my father?
Because the experiences are similar.
The experiences are similar. Like when you talk of your father, he was. The other person will be like, no, that was my father.
That was him.
Now when you're discussing and going to, actually that was my father. So when we sat down and discussed, and we had a therapist coming in, and we're like, that means it's not us. We can't be having similar problems.
Yes.
And we be the cause. There must be something wrong with the generation that gave birth to us. So we had to brainstorm and go back to their generation. Exactly. And one thing we realized is they were brought up in an era where there was so much survival mode. And that means it was during colonial times. And all you would think of is whether we have food to eat today, whether people will come to fight us today, whether we will have a place to sleep, whether our shamba will be taken by people. So there was always something making you not rest. So during that time, are you going to feed or start showing love to people?
How?
How you gonna hug someone and your stomach is empty? You don't know where you're going, where your children are going to sleep.
I remember they were like 10.
Yes. So this brought a lot of discoveries and a lot of healing to us in that group, because we realized actually when we start humanizing these people, that burden of a father wound starts easing up.
Correct.
And when we were discussing this, we realized these fathers also did not receive love that we were expecting.
Exactly. So how can they show it to us? Because they didn't receive. I mean, you only give what you have.
Exactly.
Received. Yeah.
Like I will give an example of my father. My father was born 10 years between him and the person he follows is a difference of 10 years.
Okay.
Now, when he was around 5 years, the dad passed on. Now, the mother or Shosho was left with children, and they were not 2.
Oh man.
She was left with children, worried because she doesn't know if she's going to be killed next. And she has a newborn. She has a 5-year-old, a child, a 5-year-old. So at that moment, you're thinking, my children need to eat. There are others who need to go to school. There are others who will need something, and she's all alone. I even doubt she even had time to mourn her husband.
No, because you need to catch up.
Yes. So when I look at my father, he actually did not receive love.
Okay.
As we would have hoped or thought he should have.
Yes.
So us giving birth to us didn't mean that he was all of a sudden going to know how to show love to us.
Yeah, because he didn't receive it.
No, he didn't receive it.
Yeah.
But then I saw it change as we grew up. So when we were children, he was the disciplinarian in the house. Like if you had him coming to the house, you'll be like, what did I do today?
I know.
Did I finish that homework? Is there
some, you're recollecting with your thoughts. Can you imagine?
In fact, let me just use an example of a cup. If you were gonna take him a cup of tea, the first thing you would check, he had OCD, the first thing you would check is done here. You'll be like, Mudoni, this cup is not clean. Can you go back and clean it first? What? So those are the things you'd hear him coming in. You're like, first of all, I need to think first. If there's something he will come and see that I have not done, when I am sure.
I know.
And you are never sure. Because he could come.
Is your dad.
Your dad.
That level of anxiety.
Oh gosh, we had anxiety. And I realized it's most of us during our generation, we had anxiety.
I know.
Because fathers
you
brought
just had
anxiety.
To be perfect.
You just had to be perfect.
Yeah.
Now, when we put in religion, whether it is Christianity or Muslim or whatever, and then you put society, they usually put people or fathers in a place where they should be respected no matter what. So here you are, a little girl in church who is being taught that you should respect you. In fact, in the Bible, there is that verse, honor your father and your mother, so that you can be added. I can't remember the exact words it's
so
written. You can live long. And I remember those are the verses we were read for in Sunday school. So if your father said jump, you ask how high. You don't ask why. And I feel like even other religions had the same. Like your father was not supposed. You actually don't have a chance to even ask him a question. He's the authority.
Question.
Even just the thought of it would scare us.
You can't even question.
You can't. You even don't have that chance.
Oh, wow, absolutely, yeah.
So when we look at how we grew up and the way we were taught they should be respected. So if they were abusive, it becomes very conflicting for someone, because you'll be like, he's being abusive to me, then I should respect him. And you know, fathers are the people who put in our minds how God is. So you'll be like, if my father is abusive and he should not be asked a question, that is how God is.
You start having that relationship with
God. Yes, because we call God our father.
Yes.
So if the idea you have of a father is that of an authoritative person, I don't know whether it will be easy to say the military guy. When you hear of a military guy, they're not jokes, not smiling. So if your father was like that, that is the idea you have of God. It is.
Look at it that way.
Yeah. So when we look at how our fathers made us, or as how we perceived our fathers, it ends up affecting us up in life. Personal experience. My father being the teacher, there are some things girls in that home could not do. Number one, riding a bicycle.
No.
Tabia mbaya.
No.
For boys. I know. So me and my sisters don't know how to ride a bicycle.
How do you know? And then how do your children know how to cycle? So your husband has.
My husband has had to teach them how to ride a bicycle.
Wow, okay.
Number two,
that's a strange one.
Capes.
Yeah.
You know, I grew up in Murang'a. In Murang'a, when you had, we used to have Mungiki people. Mungiki people used to have either capes or the woolen kofias, the woolen hats.
Yeah, I know them.
The woolen hats.
Yeah.
So if my father even had an idea, you can actually go get that.
That's it. You've joined the group.
By the way, he's done with you. He's done with you. So, and he kept making it like so clear. There are some things girls in this home can't do. So the first time, and not so long ago, I went to the hub and I saw a very nice cape that was it was creamish. I was like, this cape would look very nice on me. I went, bought the cape, and when I went to the house, like, I should try it on. And when I was going to fit it, I was like, what if my father sees me?
Oh no.
Then I was like, shucks, he died like 7 years ago.
But can you imagine the impact it has on you right now?
Right now. Also, we had a curfew in our house.
Oh,
it is you or darkness to get to the house first. And of course, he used to say, I am the owner of this house.
Yes.
You either, I decide who comes in and out of my door. It is only one.
What?
So every time, every time darkness comes, even today, I still find myself with a lot of anxiety.
Yeah.
Because I'm like,
it better find you.
It's night. I am supposed to be in the house. So there are days we've gone for a date with my husband, and I'm already anxious. It is
and
at
you're with
8.
your husband.
I'm with my husband, and he's like, "Is there a problem?" The kids are okay. They're fine. In my mind, I don't want to tell him, no, it's me. I don't want to tell him exactly at that moment what I am feeling, because he would be looking at me like, really?
Relax. Do you see the way it manifests?
Oh yeah, it does.
Yeah.
So that is how we carry those perceptions to adulthood.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
wow,
it's crazy. It's crazy.
It is crazy. Let me share one instance I had with my dad as well.
Yes.
When growing up, like I said, he loved the bottle, but now later on gave his life to Christ. But by then I had already found Christ. So when growing up, that is something I desired. I desired a priest, a priest in our home.
Yes.
Someone would pray for us.
Yes.
And do you know that had been my prayer? Even before, even when I was dating, I was like, God, I want someone who's born again, someone who prays, someone who knows Jesus. And that was a requirement, because I didn't have that.
Yeah.
So, and if that's something I wanted, because I longed for it, and just having friends who their parents were either pastors or they used to pray together.
Yes.
And that's what God gave me.
Oh,
so I get married to a husband who loves Christ. I go to with their family. They pray every day. They read the Bible every day. I'm like,
amazing.
Hallelujah, So the absence of
the
absence of not having is what I clinged for. I prayed for, because now I felt I needed to fill that gap.
Yes.
That's not something I didn't receive, but now I want to receive now.
I have gotten something you are trying to fill.
Yes,
avoid. Now, something to comment on that. I think all of us who've had issues in our childhood, we try to fill those gaps. So at least you, as you filled that with prayer.
Yes.
There are others who don't know how to fill that. So they'll be doing other things to try and cope and try fill that
coping mechanism.
Yeah. So we usually have people either doing what their fathers did or doing the literally opposite. Yeah. So if you are brought up by a father who was very abusive physically, and you have children, you'll be like, I'll never touch my child. So what do? You bring up a generation of children who are not disciplined.
Yes.
They don't listen to you.
Yeah.
If you grew up with a father who was very, very absent, you grow up, and when you have children, you want to get so much involved in their lives, you actually become enmeshed with them. Like there is no difference between you and your child.
Yeah.
Wow. Like they will never be your child without you. So we tend to fill the gap and overdo it if we are not careful. But to mention, some of these things are not someone who chooses. We find ourselves.
It's true.
It is not something you wake up and you're like, I am going to choose someone who is abusive like my father.
Of course, you don't want that.
You don't want that.
Yeah, but you find yourself,
because it is familiar. It feels home. So unless you are aware that this is the gap you're trying to fill, and that is where we find girls dating people who are older, like their father.
I've heard that, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because they're like, I want someone who I will feel home like it's my father talking to me. So if their father was not validating and they fall in love with a man, of course, when you're in a romantic relationship, there'll be a lot of validation happening naturally.
Yes.
So if this man is validating you more, you'll be feeling like you're filling that gap that your father did not validate you, because you have this person who looks close to your father's age and he's filling that gap.
Yeah.
So how you fill that gap is what causes issues in our adulthood.
Yeah.
Yes.
Having shared what we went through with our fathers,
Yes.
and someone is in that position, maybe they haven't gotten a coping mechanism. Talk to us a little bit about the journey of now healing.
Yes.
How do I realize that I have it, and how do I take a step of wanting to get healed?
Okay.
Yeah.
I will also try simplify it so that people can understand better. For you to start healing, or you to start the healing journey, you must understand what is causing the issue. So you have to go back to your childhood and relive that childhood so that you're able to get away from it. So you must start from where the root is. And this means think through your childhood and see how your relationship was with your father. If it brings you any feeling, stick to that feeling and allow it to happen. It could be it's bringing a lot of sadness because your father he didn't bring a good feeling to you, so you feel sad. He could be the person was very abusive, and we have fathers who are abusive even sexually. So if you have a bad feeling of how you grew up, how your relationship was with your father, allow yourself to heal, or else allow yourself to feel the pain, to feel the gap, to feel the sadness. Allow yourself to feel all those feelings, because when you give them a chance, then you're able to have a closure of some kind. Another thing is trying to write down what you feel about it, because talking may not be for everyone. It's not everyone who is able to talk about what they feel deep down. But you can do it by writing a letter to him. You don't have to go and hand him the letter. You can do it and write what you genuinely feel about him and how he treated you as a child. You can start journaling. And the journaling helps you shift your thoughts into a book. So it becomes easy for you to start understanding what is going on. So for you to start the healing journey, you must accept that there was an issue. There is a wound. There is a wound. There is a wound because you didn't have a good bond with your father. Another way you can go through the healing journey is sharing your journey with your friends. Someone you hold close to you, whether it is your partner, whether it is your friend, whether it is your sibling. You can actually discuss with them what you felt your relationship was like with your father, and how you feel it has affected your life as an adult. And when you start discussing that, it comes out. So that pain is able to come out when you start talking. If you're not able to talk, you can do what I had said. You journal, you write a letter. But also there's so much information on father wounds, and if you feel you don't yet to look for help, you can do it on the internet. You can look for podcasts that are talking about father wounds. We have on TikTok, there's so many videos about father wounds. We have YouTube like this one. We have books. We have podcasts. We have so many things. We have so much information. So it's good for you to become aware of what you're suffering from, because there are different types of wounds. So before you even get to a place where you want to solve them, understand what type of a wound you have. And lastly, I would say therapy. And I know therapy is not a very easy choice for everyone, because it requires you to be very vulnerable, but it is also the best when it comes to healing journey. Because when you sit with a professional, and I would say a professional who understands what father wounds are, probably like a family therapist. Yes, because they will be able to understand what those wounds are and how you can handle them, because talking to a professional makes your journey easier. So if you are supposed to take like 5 years trying to look for information on yourself, it will reduce it to 1 year.
Okay.
Because these are people who understand. These are people who've had experiences with other clients.
Yeah.
So it will be easy for them to trace, this is where your problem is, this is where your problem is. You can try this. So, because what they do is they try to create a space for you to heal on your own. So they support you. Like they're supporting you to walk again. Yes, so therapy is very important.
Very
if one is able to do that, perfect for an individual, for family, and group therapies as well. What is the difference between personal therapy and group therapy? In group therapy, you actually find so many people with the same issues, so you don't feel like you are alone in the journey. It's more of a support group. While in individual now digs deeper into the issues, which may not happen in the group therapy. So if you're able to attend both, it would work in a very good way for you.
Wow.
But to mention as we finish, is having a father wound should not be the last thing in your chapter. If people heal. People heal. And it's possible for you to heal and shift how your journey is like. And it's with help, people are able to make steps,
because I can imagine with that help, you're able even to become a father to your sons and daughters. You know,
and even when you are a parent, it becomes even easier for you to heal, because now you can see your father in you,
and you know what not to do.
Exactly, you actually catch yourself.
Yes, and it helps me even when I'm doing my discipline with my children. I'm like, they need to understand why I'm doing it. But I don't really necessarily have to have that rage. You know, and just hit them to an extent where you're like, oh my goodness. But I like the way you talked about finding help. We need to speak about it. We need to talk about it, and we also need to extend grace.
True.
To these parents, you know, like you
and
just
it is hard. Can I be honest?
Uh-huh.
It's very hard to extend grace, especially the first time you come across such kind of information. Because in our heads as children, we always imagine our fathers should have known to be better. Our fathers should have done. Our fathers should have. Now, before, because there will be mourning. That ideal father you had in your mind. If your love language is touch, and his love language is not touch, how he shows love is not. Yes, you should understand. They also have personalities that don't match to ours. Because everyone is different. So even as people heal, we should try and humanize them. Because just as we make mistakes, they also did their bit. Yes, they did. And
it's not like we are also perfect.
We are not.
Parenting.
How many times do you know how many times I go to the bedroom and I was like, was that necessary? Was that
But I like the fact that we are questioning ourselves.
Yes.
You know, like we go back, did I do that right? You know.
Yes, because at the end of the day we have a different generation now.
Children that are asking you
questions.
Why?
Yes. Like you'll tell them, take this cup to the kitchen. They'll be like, why, mom?
Why? You
know? And they don't expect you to get angry.
They
challenge us to communicate, which I think is a very good thing, because at the end of the day, you can't just beat. No, this generation is not the one you just beat. You beat them and they will go and cause drama somewhere else, or they just kill themselves.
It's true.
We have a very different generation from what we had. So
absolutely. Wow, this has been an amazing conversation. You know, just trying to put the topic even into our experiences. I hope you guys have enjoyed the video. Take the template that we've given you, you know, see what can work with you. Like she says, extending grace cannot be, it's never easy, but we have to try. I believe God gives us that grace.
Oh yeah, he does.
You know,
he does.
So it's only fair to do the same and seek help where you can, so that you can grow and become a better father, a better example to your children, in your relationship. And I know with that kind of help, with that step, it will lead you to some healing in your life. So thank you again for coming.
Really
you want her back again? We will invite her for more conversations. So God bless you, and with that, it's time to say goodbye. Bye.